Welcome to this week's episode of Lagnia-Pod. I'm Rob Holbert, your host. Everybody who is here, introduce yourselves,
I'm going to sign on. This is Ashley Trice.
I'm Scott Johnson.
Brady Petrie.
Kyle Hamrick.
Tommy Hicks.
All right, we got a full table here at the rectangular round table. And today, as we're recording this, is Nappy Day. Things are going live.
Yes, it's the launch of the 23rd Annual Nappy Award.
23rd Annual.
Yeah.
Did you ever think?
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
So overjoyed.
It's a big part of your life.
Yeah.
It is.
Yes, the nappy voting, you're listening to this on Thursday, so it started yesterday at 3 p.m. We pushed it back, so we have more time to fix last minute things. But yeah, we've got a bunch of new exciting categories.
Yes.
Would you like to hear
Do
about
tell.
them?
Yes.
So one of my favorites is Best Corporate Citizen. That's,
okay.
It's like the company
All
that
right.
gives back to the community the most. I like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Tommy Hicks will like this one, Best Golf Course.
Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't had that before. That's kind of crazy. It seems like we should.
I think we did, but we took it out because like several closed, and then
there was some chaos for a while on the golf course scene.
Yes. Another one I like, Best Hidden Gem Restaurant.
Best hidden gem.
Yes. Best gastroenterological surgeon.
Say that again.
Gastroenterological surgeon.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll call it best gastro surgeon.
Best gut doctor. Okay. All right.
We have butts and guts, but we had a huge outcry from the people who operate on the butts and guts.
Yes,
to separate that.
the gastropods.
So now we have the people who just look up the butts and guts, and the people who cut open the butts and guts.
Right. Okay.
So.
All right.
Another one that
this is a complex program.
You
kids.
don't understand.
This is not easy stuff.
Best dental hygienist. Now, I would argue this is almost more important than your dentist, because if you have one with a sharp pick in their hand with a little hook, it can make your life miserable.
Yeah,
they have been lobbying for this for a while, so we have finally done it.
Good.
Best boat bar. That's a good one.
Best boat bar.
So best bar you can pull your boat up to.
Gotcha. Oh, I thought it was a bar that was a boat. I was like, do we have any of those?
Then we also, in the home zone of the home improvement, we've got best countertop company.
Okay.
And best kitchen and bath remodeler.
All right.
People are always, people tell me all the time they use the Nappy winners as their index to find services.
I do. If I don't know what I'm looking for, I always go to the finalists and pick one from there. And it has never steered me wrong.
Right. So, best place to buy an engagement ring, and best travel
pawn shop
or planner. Yeah. Anyway, there's more than just that, but that's the highlights. So, my last but not least, my favorite, best funeral home.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So hopefully we'll have many people voting from beyond.
Yes.
Since they would probably have the best perspective on this.
Yes. We have the dead voting.
Anyway, but you can vote once per day per category, and that will run through April 6th for the nominations. And all nominations, it's open voting. So that means you can vote for any person, place, thing, idea.
Yes.
Then on April 7th, we will start tallying up all the top vote getters in each category, and then name the finalists. And then finalist voting begins the first Wednesday in May. So
Ashley, if people type in something in this category in the nomination period, and they misspell it, does it count?
Yes, it does. So it's pretty, the AI technology, it's pretty good. They will send us an email and say, did this person mean to spell it this way? And we will say yes. And then it corrects it. And then if anyone misspells it like that again, they will automatically combine all the votes. So it's really good. And actually, another thing I should mention, if you are trying to win a nappy, we have a lot of great resources on our votenappies.com. If you just look under the ballot, it says nominee resources. We've got the graphics that you can download. We've got an advertising rate sheet, and we've got marketing tips. Underneath the marketing tips, it says still have questions? Click here. And it's got just about every question that we have ever gotten in 23 years With
the first one being, do you have to advertise to win?
Right. Yes.
No. No, you do not.
No. In fact, most don't. We appreciate it. It helps us pay for this,
and it also reaches the people who vote most.
And there's thousands of eyeballs on it, and most people just associate your business with being one of the best. So it's win or lose, or you're still a winner if you advertise. That's what we like to say. Anyway, so that is. But there's other stuff like, I can't log in, or it's auto-populating, but my business isn't auto-populating, all kinds of things. So
those questions are answered there.
Those questions are all answered there with a very handy guide on how to do all of it. So
this is an attempt to hold off on all the phone calls that maybe you get every year, right?
Yes. So anyway.
It's a busy time, right?
It is a busy time. It's a fun time, though. I mean, I love seeing everyone, like so many. Like my own kids' orthodontist, like they were like basically coming out in the lobby last year and making people fill out.
Yeah.
Literally had an iPad making people vote. And I was just like, oh. But anyway, so it's fun. It's fun stuff.
I was somewhere this morning and somebody was, before the voting even began, somebody was already saying, when did the nominees start? I'm trying to vie for this one. And I'm just like, look, that's not my deal.
Yeah. I try to get all of my doctor appointments done before and after the nappy periods, because all of my doctors like to tell me about it. So I have no health care in between these few months. So.
Yeah, you really are in there, and they want to talk about nappies. Yeah. You're like, hey, I'm dying over here.
Yeah. Can you please just examine my colon?
Yes.
Yes.
My colon is right here.
Yeah.
Please stop talking and examine my colon if you want to be the best.
But anyway, votenappies.com, once per day per category. Get on it. It's fun. You cannot make it to the finalist phase if you don't vote for your favorites during the nomination.
Yeah, it's always a lot of fun. I mean, this has been going on, as we said, 23 years. We started this early on, and I will gladly admit that when we started it, it was a little bit smartass, and it was a little bit like, we stuck things to plaques that we spray painted gold and did all sorts of.
The first ever one, and I still see them on occasion.
The hideous Elvis.
The hideous Elvis. Osmonds have one that they proudly displayed for years.
Yeah.
Since they've closed up. I think Callahan still
fat
has
guy dressed as Elvis that we used as a picture, and I don't know why we chose that. We thought it was funny,
we just thought it was funny. And
that was the first year.
Yeah,
and then we began spray painting things gold
and gluing them to plaques, which the glue would come up in between the tines, so it looked like it had gravy or something.
Yeah, the famous Gorilla Glue incident was
then they would all fall off, of course. So.
Except for the Gorilla Glue ones. Those didn't fall off.
They look terrible.
That's when you find out Gorilla Glue foams up. You learn that. But it's those were the early ones. I think one of the big things that has kept this going, though, is the switch to the banners, and people really like having the banners. They can display them like they've won NBA titles, hanging from the roof. It's and
they're fun. And the theme that reminds me. The theme this year is Nappies in Paradise, like a little nod to our Jimmy Buffett native son, but also just florals, and so it's really pretty and
tropical,
very tropical
theme.
Yes. Tiki.
So we're hoping people will carry that through at the nappy party.
Right. Yes.
It'll be fun, and people.
I'm saying you can dress like a parrot head or tropical cocktail is what I'm
tropical cocktail, or you can dress whatever other way you want to, because people always do.
Yeah,
but it's always a lot of fun, and we're going to have that party on July
I think it's 18th, whatever.
I think that's right.
Is.
Yes, I think that's correct. Yeah. But it's a fascinating time. People get their feelings hurt sometimes, but most people, I think the vast majority of people, enjoy it and have a good time with it, and it is a lot of fun.
It's supposed to be fun,
and it is. I mean, to be nominated it is really an honor to begin with.
Yes.
So,
I just asked Susan Lucci.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm going to make sure it's not on fire. So
yes. Well, go do that. We're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk to Tommy Hicks in just a moment.
Town, Lagnia, baby is on the beat for just $6.50.
Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky.
Down in our Alabama town, Lagniappe Daily is on the beat. For just $6.50, it's all the news, keeping local folks in the loop. Oh, Lagniappe Daily, every single morning, catching up on stories while the coffee's pouring. The local truths on every page, news for the folks of every age.
And we are back with Tommy Hicks. And there's the coaching carousel is spinning right now.
It is spinning. We got a little bit of action going.
Still football.
Finally.
Still football.
Still football.
Still football.
We had 6 openings a while back. Now we only have 3. As recently reported, Baker has hired new coach they promoted from within. And then yesterday, which would be Tuesday, while we're recording this, UMS announced they've hired Sam Williams from Brandon, Mississippi. He'd been there 4 years. Has a really good record. Young guy, 33 years old.
Yeah.
Won 82 games in 8 seasons as a head coach, so he's had some success. I think he took Brandon to the state championship game twice in his 4 years there. So an interesting hire.
That's pretty
there.
good.
Yeah, seems like
could be there a very long time because he's young.
Could be. I mean, could fit really nicely in there.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. It'll be interesting how that works. And then also LaFleur has hired Michael Perry, who was defensive coordinator at Viger last year. He's a new head coach for the Rattlers. He was a former head coach at Central Haneyville a few years back. Had some success there. So it'll be interesting to see.
Wasn't that the name of the town in Green Acres?
I think so.
I think it was Haneyville.
Mr. Haney.
I think it was Haneyville. I thought it was. I thought it was
Haneyville.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about
Mr.
that.
Haney was Green Acres.
What was it? Hooterville. You're right. It was Hooterville.
He would know that, wouldn't he?
He would know that.
Yes,
How would Kyle know? How would Kyle know that? Did you Google that quickly?
No, he didn't. And no, you didn't have to do. No, you didn't. You're from Corner. You knew what it was.
It was Hooterville. That's right. That's right. It was next to Petticoat Junction.
Oh my gosh!
It was.
Man, we have slipped backward, haven't we?
We have gone off rails here. So let's move back on the rails. Basketball is happening.
Basketball. Disappointment for the Jags. South Alabama got to the.
We were excited, but it didn't happen.
Number 1 seed in the tournament. I got a bye all the way to the semifinals, but lost there to Arkansas State by 3 points, and so that ends their season quite likely unless they get into one of those smaller tournaments. They won't get an NIT invite because there's some process they use now. You have to have 125 rating.
Yeah, it's called the net ratings.
The net ratings. Yeah. And they do not have that, so they don't qualify for the NIT. And then there's only just a handful of other little satellite tournaments that are not really anything you want to do. So good season, but a disappointing end because they had an opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 17 years.
Yeah.
But on the good side of that, University of Mobile is going back to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 17 years.
The NAIA, right?
And to the NAIA National Tournament. They play Friday in Williamsburg, Kentucky. The men's team and then the women's team also qualified for the NAIA National Tournament. They're playing in a different city in Kentucky where they open up in South Regional Play. So good luck to them on Friday. See if they can, both cases for both Mobile teams, if they win and the higher seeded team that they are matched with wins, that would have them playing a home team on their floor in the second round. So got to hurry up and play. Got to beat the crowd as well. So, but it's good. I mean, they have a really good season. You got a good chance to do something there.
And then we also have the Jags baseball team. Baseball's going on
big win
heavy right now, and they had a big win yesterday.
Big win yesterday. Ole Miss came to town, ranked number 13 in the country, riding a 13-game win streak. They were 14-1. But then the 14 part that came into play was how many runs South Alabama scored against them. Beat them 14-5, jumped on them real quick, scored 4 in the first, was up 6-0. Ole Miss scored a couple of runs, and everybody thought, okay, here they come. But then in the bottom half of the inning, South Alabama tacked on 3 more, so never let them get anywhere
So my
close.
wife was out there, and she said that, she was there watching the game, excited about it, and then somebody in the stand said, well, Ole Miss hasn't been playing their starters because they're holding them back for some reason or another.
Because SEC season starts this weekend. But the same was true for Sunbelt.
Yeah,
I mean, for South, they didn't throw their their aces either.
I got you.
Because Sunbelt season begins this weekend. So midweek games, you're not usually going to have your number
guys,
1 or 2, 3 starters out there. They're being safe for the weekend.
That's just an excuse, then.
Yeah.
That was just an excuse.
It was just an excuse. It was
All
not your day that day at all.
Doesn't sound like it.
Nope.
And then one of our columnists,
yes,
Randy, has gotten his radio show back.
Randy Kennedy is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. The Randy Kennedy Show will start again on Sports Talk 99.5 next Monday, the 17th, I believe is the correct date. He's been away for a little while. He was part of that national iHeart layoff situation, and the local station was able to bring him back. So he's been away since
They realized
November.
They needed him back. That's good.
Yeah, he's been away since November. So, man, that guy likes to talk. So he's been saving up.
Yeah.
So you better be ready.
Yeah.
If you cut the radio on, he's going to be.
He may do a few extra hours a day.
He might just go and not even have it plugged in. Just sit in there and talk behind the studio.
All right. Well, I'm glad he's back. That's good for him. I know he missed it too.
Yeah, he did. And it's good to have him back. It's good to have local sports talk going on, and people have been here a while and know the area, and he knows he qualifies in that area.
Yes, he does. All right. Well, thanks, Tommy. We're going to take a quick break here, folks. We'll come back and talk a little bit mayoral politics. Just $6.50 a month for Mobile's daily news, Lagniappe Daily. Get signed up now at lagniappemobile.com and help keep Mobile funky. And we are back, and we have more people now officially in the mayoral race for Mobile. Paul Prine has jumped in yesterday. What do we think? What does that do for the race?
I mean, we kind of knew he was going to run. I mean,
Right.
he teased an announcement for Friday on the 14th, but
Right.
for some reason that he has not clarified, he moved that up a couple of days, and you don't tease an announcement like that if you're not going to run. So we've kind of knew this, but it is interesting because, I mean, his supporters are definitely the loudest that you'll find, but I just don't know if that means that he has a wide stretch in terms of support. I don't know yet. During his campaign launch yesterday, he pitched 3 fundamental pillars, safety, career development, and I can't remember what the third one is off the top of my head, but he also pledged a clean campaign, which I'm anxious to see how long or short that pledge lasts, depending on the candidate.
Yeah, well, it's already getting a little rough on with the Hudson campaign and Chair Gaddis campaign has gotten. There's a little bit of back and forth there with the Hudson campaign saying that Chair Gaddis has promised to keep all Sandy Stimson's people and all these things, although they haven't proven any of that. And Sandy says no. I mean, the city says that has not happened. But
I don't really get the attack anyway. Sandy's popular, so I don't really understand this whole Sandy's backing him.
Folks like that reform, Scott.
Yeah.
They like to get a clean sweep.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can, they're just going to position him as, the elite candidate that's, got the backing of the Spring Hill guy. And, and they're going to position themselves as the outsider that's going to come in and change. I think it's just positioning like that, especially with the mood of the country kind of right now on the national stage.
Right. But Prine's main issue to me seems that he has not answered yet is, does he live in Mobile and will he live in Mobile? And you didn't really get an answer on that yesterday because he didn't talk. He didn't take any questions.
Yeah, he flat out refused to speak to the media, which, I mean, to me, if you're going to, it's one thing to not do it after your 10th campaign stop, but after, on your campaign launch, it's kind of a red flag to me.
It's a warning sign to me.
I heard him on talk radio today. He said, I own a house in Saraland, and I am keeping that, and I also own a home in Mobile. Now, what exactly that means?
That doesn't clarify anything. Yeah. That's the top question I had yesterday, and I know all the fellow reporters around me, that was their number one question.
He did add, too, he's like, I don't think people care about this. I've worked in Mobile, and, that was his thing. And
that doesn't sound good to me. And and we have looked we've looked at the Revenue Commission and stuff like that, and it doesn't show that he owns another house in Mobile, does it?
I mean, all that I've been able to find, I know Scott's dug into this a little bit too, but all I've been able to find is his properties in Saraland.
Right.
There's nothing really that suggests that he's bought anything in Mobile, anything to that effect.
I mean, this was before, maybe even before y'all were born. No, but it was, we had a guy that was a county commissioner one time, Juan Chastain, who claimed a dwelling that was
you were born, but you were in elementary school.
It was a shed. It was a shed that had
literally a shed
that had a padlock on the outside of it, and claimed that as his home.
Wow.
That didn't go over very well once it was determined that he didn't actually live in the shed. I mean, people do care about it, and I think people will care about it. It's an issue that comes up all the time.
Well, I mean, you saw how it played out in the District 2 congressional race,
Yeah.
No, or AL1. Was it one, or now I'm confused too? Caroline and Shamari.
Okay, yeah.
Was that one or two?
Two.
That's two.
Yeah.
That's District 2.
Anyway, no, I mean, with everyone from Huntsville and Montgomery came down, that wasn't gonna. Or not Montgomery, but Huntsville and Birmingham.
Huntsville and Montgomery and Birmingham.
Yeah.
Well, Montgomery's in the district though, but Huntsville and Birmingham are not, and they were running for it, But the rules are different there, but
I mean, it's a little sloppier, I think, with congressional, but I mean, I think it's pretty clear regarding.
No, you have to live here for 90 days. But,
municipal is pretty clear. I mean,
but if it's just that you have an apartment somewhere and you're really going home to Saraland every night, is that,
and people may remember Bess Rich several years ago, a city councilwoman, had a house she had a house in her district, but she also had a house over on the Eastern Shore, and her homestead exemption was on the house on the Eastern Shore. And when that was brought to light, she quickly changed her homestead exemption back to Mobile. So, I mean, is a guy who has his homestead exemption in Saraland and lives in has rented an apartment in Mobile. Is that
and
really?
I don't know
is
that he has
really,
an apartment. I'm just saying.
Has he or does he? I don't know. As you said, there was some talk on the radio
something about his son going to school. I don't know. Yeah.
That maybe he's paying rent. I don't know, but that's an issue that's going to be solved. And I mean, this happens. This is not an easy issue to solve. It has been an issue that crops up over and over again. There was a Pritchard city council person who was living on the Eastern Shore. There were questions about even C.J. Small, where he lived, who's Mobile City Council president. He's got a great big house that is outside of the city limits, but he also has a house here in Oakley area. So there was some questions about that as well. It comes up pretty often. So and it's not easy to find out. I mean, unless you put a deer camera out there to see if somebody's going.
Well, that was what I was going to ask. What is Lagniappe's budget for deer trail cameras?
We may have to.
Well, do you remember someone said that about Fred Richardson?
Right.
20-something years ago, or And I sat out
Right.
and followed
You
him from the Waffle House.
You did. You followed him around in the middle of the night.
And where did he go? To his house in the district that he lives in.
Right.
Yeah.
Sat there.
I don't even think he had another house.
I remember that. You were definitely doing
I
that.
was doing my stakeout.
Doing the stakeout, watching him at
My
the Waffle
Waffle
House
House, yeah.
as he's sitting there eating at Waffle House. By the way, I saw him
Although
recently.
he spent so much time at that Waffle House that he
he did.
could have had a homestead exemption on that.
I saw Fred. I saw Fred. He should. That was his house. He got the homestead exemption at the Waffle House. I saw him the other day, and he looks amazing. I mean, he looks younger than he used to. He looks great. He's really in good shape. But that's neither here nor there.
So those waffles. Yeah.
So Scott, you did a story the other day about what happens in the case of, we have two candidates with Prine and his residency issue, and then also Steve Nodine and his issue of maybe needing pardons in order to actually serve as mayor. And you did a story on
Prine and
what
also
happens.
the lawsuit.
And also the lawsuits.
The lawsuit. So he, of course,
it's also not just that he is suing the city. He's also being sued in several different capacities.
Oh yeah,
as well.
that is true. Yeah, and because of his former role as police chief.
Police chief.
Yes. Yeah, there's several cases, currently pending in that. So he sued the city. He sued multiple people at the city. Sandy Stimpson, all those people involved in the report that came out, Kenyon Brown report. He sued them on Christmas Eve.
Got the city council members.
Yeah, city council members, 5 of 7 of them.
It does raise the question. I mean, if he were elected mayor, and he's got most of the council members that he is actively engaged in a lawsuit, does it create a problem?
Yeah, in terms of especially trying to get anything passed, you would think that there'd be some just unneeded controversy between the two bodies.
Well,
and
it's probably never any fun to be deposed and all those other things and having certain things said. But it does raise a lot of issues and how it would happen. So,
I mean, my questions was, what's stopping somebody from suing, from forcing these, the city to
settle the suit.
Settle with himself.
Yeah.
I later found out, well, he's not actually suing anybody in their official capacity. He's not suing the city of Mobile. He's been claiming that he's wrongfully terminated but he's actually not even suing for wrongful termination.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering how that was all factored into his plans for running for mayor. It seems to have been pretty carefully crafted in terms of how the lawsuit was brought. They selectively choosing people in the council. I don't know exactly what the strategy is, but there was definitely some thinking about how he went about it. And none of it, and it also, any result would not involve tax money.
Yeah.
So it would be, they're all being sued on their individual capacity.
But then you also got into the whole thing about if Nodine is elected but is unable to serve, and then it really is up to the council whether to seat the mayor, right?
Yeah, I didn't even think that this was a possibility, but so most people are going to be they have to be vetted at qualification to appear on the ballot. But there can be challenges after the election about your qualifications if there's like some big concerns. So what the city council can do is they can disqualify a winner of the results when after the election. So what could happen with Steve Nodine, because of his felony convictions, in the case that he wins the election, the city council could disqualify him under state law because he even though he can appear on the ballot, he cannot hold office due to that felony, state and federal felony convictions.
And that would end up being then the council president would become mayor.
Yeah, so it'd be creating a vacancy right when Sandy Stimpson leaves office November 3rd. It would open up a vacancy. The the president of the council would actually not be a part of the council anymore, become mayor. And if we don't have a president of the council, then it would be the vice council. Yeah, so it's not even, there would be no appointments from the governor. It would just have the succession of power going.
But we'd have to have another election to get a city council person then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we would have a special election for mayor. They would be
special
acting.
election. So that would be acting mayor for a while.
Acting mayor. But, you end up with a situation where you've got six city council members.
I mean, I think it's an unlikely scenario, but it's, it's still a possibility. It's all, this is getting more and more interesting and it's definitely getting a lot spicier. And, it's, I think money wise, you're seeing money coming in, between, Cherigatis and Hudson are running in the front with money.
Both of them combined have 86% of all the money that's been contributed. So it's they both have the lion's share in terms of financial
donations. Yeah. Most of which are coming from out of town, though. Right?
Most of which are coming from political action campaigns and out of town money.
Yeah. And then there's one thing I'm going to give Paul Prine, which I'm sure he's a Lagnia-Pod listener. I'm going to give him one free piece of advice. Stop referring to yourself in the third person. It is, nobody wants to hear politicians talk about themselves by their first, that's a no-no, but we'll see what goes on. Anyway,
makes for some awkward writing too.
It is, yeah. When you're doing a quote and it's like Paul Prine is doing this, Paul Prine is doing that, you're like, is this the
Paul
right?
Prine, yeah,
Paul Prine.
It's had to sit there for a minute yesterday and just look at it.
It does. It makes life harder on us. I don't. It's definitely a strange one, but I see him, certainly as a candidate that will. I think if there is this whole thing that Cherigatis is the selected person by Stimson, and does then Cherigatis become sort of the proxy for Prine's unhappiness with Stimson. I think that's where a lot of this will go, but I think it's Cherigatis probably has a little bit of a mark on his back anyway because of this.
Yeah.
So it's only going to get better, folks. It's only going to get more interesting.
I still think we may get a couple more people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That would just be insane if there's, we get 8 or 9. So there's some, I know there's some candidate forums coming up, and, I hope we'll host 1 or 2, I hope. Anyway, well, that's all we got for this week, folks. So come back next Thursday for the next episode of Lagnia-Pod. Thanks for listening to us.
The Lagnia-Pod is a Something Extra publishing production. Executive producers are Rob Holbert and Ashley Trice. Music is by Some Pulse Sounds and Electro Animals. Only subscribers like you have access to this podcast. Tell your friends they can sign up at my.lagniappemobile.com. For advertising opportunities, please call 251-450-4466.